You are listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo!
My compliments, little lady.
Commercial! Break for 30 seconds. Get to transmission.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the News Radio WFLA Orlando studios from 11 a.m. to noon every Sunday, and I'm your host, Angela Smerito. Before we jump into everything, I want to give a shout out to Body Street of Winter Park. Experience the future of fitness at Body Street in Winter Park. Lose weight, build muscle, tone your body in only 20 minutes a week. Visit bodystreet.us, where fitness meets efficiency. So now that we got that out of the way, we get to introduce. We have Darren Cook, VP of Sales, and Dalton Bond, who's a residential relocation consultant for the Orlando market, and they are with Seth Moving and Storage. There it is. There's the applause. So, Darren, I know you and I are going to have to kind of look over each other, but, you know, we're still going to have a great conversation. So it's kind of a trick in here, getting it all worked out to where the microphones and the cameras and all that other stuff is in the right place. So, you guys, thanks for coming today. And, Darren, thanks for making the drive from, where is it? You said Jacksonville?
Jacksonville. Yeah.
Okay, well, I always feel very special when people travel to come here, so thank you.
Happy to get out.
Yeah, right? That's a really nice day, too. Are you going to stay in Orlando for the rest of the day?
Yeah, actually, it's Employee Appreciation Week for us, so I'm going to go down to the office and go visit the team down there.
All right. Well, that's great. And before we jump into all of that stuff, let's just talk about the company. So do you want to go ahead and introduce the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So Seth Moving and Storage is one of the business units that we have for the Seth companies. We move anything, anybody, everywhere.
Okay, so you said the company. So there's multiple, what's the right word for it? Divisions?
We call them business units. You could look at it as divisions,
okay.
But subsidiaries, if you will. But you know, Seth is a family-owned business. It's third-generation family-owned. It's a family name.
I love that.
So Steve Seth is the chairman of the board, still to this day. His grandfather founded it in 1919.
I was about to say, is he like 100? So
no, but he's still very involved. But he does a fantastic job of letting the teams run and letting the business unit leaders lead the group. So we both work in the household goods moving side of things.
Okay.
We started in Jacksonville. We've been in Orlando for probably almost as long, and we've had all of our ups and downs in Florida and the economic ups and downs. So we've withstood a lot and hung in there.
Very, very nice. Now, are you outside of Florida as well?
Yeah. We have a national footprint. So
very
we're
nice.
Out on the West Coast with our workplace services.
Wow, you guys went to the West Coast, eh?
Yeah, that's actually where
okay.
That's where I started with Seth. So I started in the Northwest and in California for a couple of years, and then came out to Jacksonville. So I've gotten the world tour.
Okay. Well. So the moving and storage. What are some of the other divisions?
So we have our workplace solutions, which
tell
is
me what that is.
Also under the Seth brand. So that's office moving. So we do warehousing, furniture. We own a company that does office furniture.
Okay.
It's the largest steel case dealer in Florida. The name of that is Purdue. So that's one of the divisions within our workplace solutions.
Not related
team.
to the chicken, though, right?
No.
I hope not.
You did say Purdue, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with the reference, so hopefully I didn't.
You've never heard of Purdue chicken?
No. Like
Have
I said,
you?
I'm from the
I
West
know what
Coast.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm like, I know I'm not crazy.
Yeah. Not related. Not related for the record.
Not at all. Yeah, go check out the website if you want to see more.
He's like, what is she talking about?
But we also have another company that hopefully doesn't resonate with any other businesses called Phase Integration within our workplace solutions that does audio visual. They do work with NASA for things like lights and screens, LED fixtures and stuff like that. Which is
wow.
really fun. It all ties together, noise suppression in offices, things that all the creature comforts that you need in an office building.
Okay, so creature comforts is so you can't hear the neighbor next to you, that
Exactly.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I talked to so many small business owners, and I've heard the horror stories about people being able to just hear through the walls So is that something that happens in like the building phase, or can you go back after the thing is done and fix it?
Both. Yeah, I think a lot of it is new construction, but there's also renovations and reconfiguring office spaces and stuff like that we do all the time.
Very nice. All right. So, but you two are in the same division, and you said that was, I mean, it's basically the moving and the storage for residential.
For residential moving. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and Dalton, that's your role here in the Orlando market.
Correct. Yeah, that's my role here, and oversee customers and anybody seeking estimates for local moving within the state of Florida, and then moving interstate wise as well. Mm-hmm. Something we haven't touched on yet that we'll maybe get into is we do international moves as well. So my job is to oversee those customers, do moving surveys for them, figure out the inventories, the packing of what they need, get an inventory of all their furniture, and help them get a quote and a cost for the move.
So residential, so you're not talking about anything on the commercial side whatsoever?
Correct. Yeah, that's completely separate. So I just handle residential.
Okay. All right. And I meant, like, what does that look like? People are pains in the butts. I know that.
Well, usually they're much more pleasant during a move, though.
Are they? I don't think so.
No, it's one of the top 4 most stressful things you can do next to, getting married, getting divorced, and taxes and dying probably. But
moving. Yeah.
Put it up there.
Yep.
So you have storage as well.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you, like I said, if I wanted to buy a place up north and go back and forth, but I needed to store some stuff, you have storage facilities?
Yeah. So every market that we're in for our residential, moving division has a warehouse of varying sizes, but I think we have over 1 million square feet of space across our entire footprint.
So they're not storage units; they're just like you keep it in a space. Are they?
No. Actually, you're correct. So if you think of the Indiana Jones warehouse at the end of the movie with all crates stacked
that's
up,
exactly what I'm thinking.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
I've seen those before. I used to do some work with Mechanical One in their warehouse over. They call it Warehouse One or whatever, and it was massive, full of air conditioners and everything like that. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny you made that Indiana Jones reference, because when I saw it, that's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, I mean, it's organized. We have electronic warehouse management system to track everything and know where everybody's goods are at all times.
Okay.
Keep track of it all so that we don't misplace something and things get separated and moved around. It's the physicality of it's still there. You still have to dig through rows of vaults to get to one, and things shift around. So we scan them in and out, and it's very safe and secure. It's temperature, climate controlled. So
very nice. See, I would do that in a heartbeat. I'm not a huge fan of like the storage facilities that are popping up all over the place. They just went not far from where our B&I meets. They just put one up right on Tuscaloosa that's literally like 2 feet from the road.
Yeah, oh, wow. I saw that.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
Ugly.
Yeah, we're tucked back in an industrial area, so there's nothing but warehouses out there in downtown area.
Is it over off of LB McLeod area?
Yeah, LB McLeod.
I knew it.
Barack Obama Parkway, where that intersects there.
Very nice. So you said the business is over 100 years old, right? And
106,
how long has there been the department that you guys work for?
So that was actually the start, and that's the case for a lot of moving companies. It really starts with household goods moving. The reason we diversify, and a lot of companies diversify, is because of the seasonality. A lot of people are moving during summertime.
Ooh, let's talk about that a little bit. That's just weather related, right?
No. It's usually driven by school because families,
kids are out of school.
They don't want to start the school year midway through, and you still have that to some degree. And certainly, military members, when they've got to move, or if you're moving for work. But most people want to pick June or July.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I figured it was, like I said, warmer weather, because I can't imagine how horrible it must be to like move. Well, okay, I take that back. The heat's pretty bad too, and so it's June and July, but that does make a lot of sense.
It depends on where you're going. I mean,
we always talk about moving out of Florida just because it's starting to get so like compact and the heat and everything. But I don't know. This is where I was born, so it's kind of hard. I mean, you said you're from the West Coast?
Yeah, every place has its thing. That's what I always say. We have things we love about each of the states we've lived in, me and my family, but Florida's pretty great.
Right, definitely. All right, well, the clock says that we're getting ready to go to break. I don't hear any music, though, Ken, so all right, there it is. All right, guys, we're going to go to break. When we get back, we'll have more BaaD Radio, so stay tuned. Welcome back. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. Your home is one of your most important investments, so don't trust it to just anyone. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you to protect your investment. Okay, we're here with Darren Cook, VP of Sales, and Dalton Bond, with the residential relocation consultant in the Orlando market for I'm just like babbling through all of
You got it. You got it.
Seth Moving and Storage. So yeah, I'm just going to start calling you Darren and Dalton. Okay, is that okay?
That's fine.
That's usually what I go by.
Yeah.
So during the break, I was like, let's just walk through the process. I can't say that I have moved, but not to a point where I took like a whole household from one place to another place. So I meant, what is that? Let's talk about the process. So you get a call, or do you network? I know you do that.
Yeah. So I'll dive into that, but it's my job, on a day-to-day process is just very appointment based. So I'm just looking to meet with customers and do moving surveys with them. So
surveying
is, finding out what kind of furniture they're taking, what the packing looks like. Are we packing anything? Is the customer packing anything? But more importantly, getting that on paper to get the cost of the move. But there's two ways we can do that. Either A, I go into the customer's home and do an in-home walkthrough, or B, we've really dove into the virtual world where we can do it virtually. So almost like FaceTiming and having a conversation with somebody.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But we have a specific software and a specific tool that we use that also records the entire video process with the customer that I'm having. And I also have the ability to take screenshots of all the furniture, which is really nice. So that way we could go back and make sure we have everything correct.
Right.
But lastly, there's a lot of AI integration built into the virtual side.
Tell me about that.
So as we take the pictures and screenshots, what happens is we have a couple tools that we could use, but we have color-coded dots that then go on the furniture that call out all the items in the house. So the AI will pick up coffee table, end table,
that's
cushion,
really,
sofa,
really cool.
TV. It's really neat.
Uh-huh.
But most importantly, what I like about it is we're sending that to the customer. So the customer is seeing that. So on the left side of the survey, it's going to have all the pictures running down the left side. On the right side, it'll be the list of furniture with the color-coded dots. So if the end table is an orange dot in the picture, it'll have an orange dot on the end table calling out each piece of furniture that we would be moving or the customer wants to have moved.
Okay, so you're blowing my mind right now, because that is so far from like what I've pictured moving is
Sure.
like, the guys show up, they got the butt crack showing, they're smoking a cigarette, doing whatever, and then you hear a lot of banging and clanking and a couple crashes here and there.
Yeah.
That's not what that sounds like.
No. And this is just on the beginning phases of, preparing for the move and getting the customer the estimate that they need, to get their items from A to B. So when our guys walk in and show up, they're going to put down floor protection. They're going to put up door protection.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll do floor protection, door protection. They're going to plastic wrap and pad wrap all the furniture before it goes out into the truck. So that's very important to hit on, is that's being done in the home. Everything is going to be inventoried. So Darren brought up the inventorying for the warehouses. Well, that all starts in the home for the customers.
Very nice.
So it's all digital. A lot of times we're going to use stickers where the drivers have barcode scanners. And they could,
Wow.
So they could start that process in the house. If it does go into storage, then that kind of transfers over to the warehouse, kind of what he was diving into earlier with the inventories.
It makes it, like you said, that's what you're using the word inventory as opposed to furniture and stuff and things like that. So that like you said, you kind of just like blew me away right there with the whole. I have a whole different picture now of what actual moving is like.
Yeah.
All right. So, but I'm sure you still come across some pretty crazy people in your time, right?
Yeah, crazy people and crazy things, So,
what about
Darren,
like animals and
Darren brought up earlier, he said you were talking about some of the storage and different places and different things, but some things we run across, are going to be specialty items. So he said, we can move anything, and that is true. And so that's part of my job, is scoping that out. So we come across crazy pieces of furniture. You know, not all 2 customers have the same things. You know, more furniture than others might require special handling. So that's part of my job of figuring that out. You know, we work with a secondary company that's a third-party company, and they're going to help us with, you know, moving baby grand pianos and pool tables and grandfather clocks,
Right,
specialty,
huge and
right,
heavy.
specialty items that require more care, where our guys can go in and work on the move and focus on the move and the inventorying of the furniture and moving the furniture, where those guys can go in and prep that stuff for us and have it ready to just be moved from there.
Right. So you're talking about like with just bubble wrap, whatever needs to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, disassembly, reassembly, you know, specialty things, you know, grandfather clocks, taking weights and pendulums out of grandfather clocks, things like that.
So you'll do that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. We make sure that we have the right teams that have the specialty, you know, process and tools that need to make things happen. So we have our own, you know, kind of internal employee base. We work with partners to handle if it's a specific piece like a pool table. Well, is that a slate pool table? Is it 3 pieces of slate? Is it 1 piece of slate? Obviously, you can't move slate on its own. That needs to be taken off and crated, and that's a pretty intricate process. I mean, you're not going to walk by many people that know how to take apart a pool table the right way and put it back together 2,000 miles away,
right?
As much as people might try. So that's just one example of maybe dozens and dozens that we can go into with every customer, and you know, everything is as Dalton pointed out, he's scoping that out, and we're putting together a scope of work, which is really setting the expectation with the customer before we start, and helping them understand this is what that service costs, so that they can make a decision as to whether it's worth it or not. Because with the cost of everything going up, you know, some of these things are irreplaceable, but furniture nowadays is pretty easy to replace when you think about, you know, stores like IKEA and
yeah. I mean, sometimes it's worth just selling it and buying new stuff
Yeah.
when you get to where you're going. But
And that's what I try to do, is try to advise customers on, you know, what the right thing to do is, or if they're, you know, saying they're on the fence with some, you know, certain piece of furniture. A lot of times I'm just like, if you're on the fence about it, then just
you
do
probably
it.
don't want to pay
Right.
for everything that we're going to do. That makes a lot of sense.
That's right. Yeah.
But
so
I
I
mean,
try to.
I have a lot of antiques in my house, and I like the old stuff. So I'd be like, yeah, that's my Harry Potter thing.
Have
so.
to take it.
It's
gotta
all
go.
coming.
It's got to go.
That's one of the
right.
questions we ask too when we walk in, whether it's Dalton or it's our crew leader when they arrive, is what's the most important thing in the house? Like, what do we need to show you that we're willing to take the extra steps on and take care of? So
you're talking about disassembling things. So you'll take the bed apart, the dressers apart, and pack it up and store it in your or well, not store it, but load it up and then drive it to wherever you're going.
Yeah. And it depends on where it's going, you know, how involved some of that stuff gets. If it's going a couple thousand miles, there's a lot of hills and bumps and vibrations and things that happen in the truck. So, you know, we'll be a little more thorough when it's traveling longer distance, but a local move, a lot of times you can, you can leave the drawers and the dressers if they're pretty solid. You can even leave clothes in the drawers if you need to most times. So those,
if it's just like one place of Orlando to another.
Yeah.
I get that. I didn't think about all the hills and the bumps, and if you're going up like to the Rockies or someplace that's just the driving is way different. All right. Well, like you said, that's the disassembling in itself. How long does something like that take?
Yeah, I mean, part of the job scope again, but I mean, it could take, you know, a few hours to, you know, multiple days. You know, we've had jobs go, you know, a week and a half.
Really?
You know,
just to undo everything and pack it up and get ready to ship it?
Well, the whole process, you know, taking it from, we're going to start with the packing, the driver's going to start with the inventorying, and then starting to disassemble that furniture, get it wrapped up and taken. You know, we've had jobs in the past where, you know, the packing process and the loading process will take, you know, upwards of a week for a larger job. And then we'll do anything as small as, you know, a small minimum job for us where we're really just moving a couple boxes and a couple pieces of furniture across town. So
okay, I was going to ask that too.
Yeah.
So is there a minimum?
Yeah. I mean, there's minimums on our weights and our hours, but, you know, there's just, at the end of the day, there's really no move too small and no move too large for us to handle. So we can, you know, operate on both ends of that.
I'm going to ask you, but you don't have to answer yet because we're going to go to break. But I want to talk about your largest residential move in the history of y'all's employment. So, all right.
We'll think about that.
I know, during break. All right, we're going to go to break, you guys. When we get back, we'll have more BaaD Radio, so stay tuned. Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones, and you're looking for Frogger's Grill and Bar. And with great locations, there is bound to be one near you. Oviedo, Mount Dora, Altamont Springs, and Apopka. Froggers, hopping with food and fun.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, Froggers has been one of our sponsors since day one.
Get you some 20 black and gold wings, you know.
Oh, yeah. I know. You guys are always going to the one in Oviedo because that's where we're in Winter Springs too. So, so we're here with Darren and Dalton, and they're with Sudeth Moving and Storage. And so, like during the break, we started to dive into some really fun stories. But for the most part, I just want to tell you guys that you have really kind of changed my whole view of what moving looks like, because I've always had like a certain image in my head of what it looks like, and it wasn't good. I'll tell you that. It was kind of like, dirty, people not really having a lot of respect for your things, and I'm glad to find out that that's just not the case. So it sounds like you guys obviously have a completely different level of customer service as well as like customer satisfaction. Mm-hmm. So, all right, now let's talk about the stories.
Oh no! Well, you asked about the biggest move. I mean, I've seen a lot of big homes and things like that. But I think the biggest move I've ever experienced, I was actually on the crew when this happened, and it was a right-of-way project where they were putting in a new highway, and they had to buy up all these pieces of land and homes and neighborhoods to make room for the new.
That's like the Hallmark story where they're going to knock them out of their home so they can put the mean highway through.
I mean, usually they offer the people a pretty ridiculous amount of money to get out of the way. So
I'd be like, give it.
I would too, but this one gentleman just didn't want to budge. He had like a double wide trailer and a big shop and just stuff everywhere and farm equipment. He owned like 7 acres or something, but he worked with metal, and I think he was a welder, so he just had a shop full of all kinds of equipment. And he finally, when they gave him the deal of a lifetime to say, you've got to move, you're right in the middle of the path of the freeway, we went in and we moved him, and I think he had well over 150,000 pounds total. Moving, we do things on weight; it's weight based.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we had to kind of come up with some idea of what the weight was to get it moved. And I mean, sheets of metal.
Oh my God.
Forklifts. It was everything, and we had to hire all kinds of heavy equipment hauling people.
Oh my God.
Move this stuff.
So it didn't. He had a double wide, but weight wise, it was way more than the other ones.
He made him pay. I mean,
what state was this in?
This was in Washington State, in a very rural community, and he finally budged, and they got him to move. But he said, "You're going to take. I'm moving it all. We're taking everything."
Man, I wonder where he moved to.
He moved like 5 miles away, just to another field somewhere. But it was a 2-week overall process to get everything out of there.
Well, you know what? They got the freeway, so there you go. Yep. But that's hilarious, though. Yep. He's like, I'm not moving.
Some people,
it took a year, I think, to convince him.
Oh my gosh! I bet he got a really good deal.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. All right, so you were starting to talk about one, but you don't know if you can talk about that.
I don't know if I'll talk about it on the air. I got a good.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got another good one I'll share. So I go to this doctor's house and do an in-home survey for him.
Mm-hmm. Do you do more in-home, or are you doing more
Good
virtual
question.
ones?
I'd say it's about 80-20 now at this point, especially since after COVID happened. But I'd say about 80% virtual, about 20% in-home. And if someone wants me to come out to the home, that's fine. I still, come do that. But I think a lot of people now just prefer how easy it is to just pull up the virtual, boom, get it done. I'm getting them a quote faster, just bang, 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 and be able to provide a higher level and quicker level of service with the virtual stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's nice about it. But I go to do an in-home survey for a doctor. This is a few years ago. He has a ton of money, doesn't know what to do with it, but the wife does.
I bet
she decided she was going to buy a wax and porcelain doll collection that she had started back when she was younger. So she just spent all this money collecting these dolls.
You say wax, though. Wax melts.
Yeah. So we had to be careful with what we were doing with that, with the heat and everything. But they were, 2-3 foot dolls, maybe less, right around that size.
Right.
She had well over 300-400, maybe more of them. But that wasn't the issue. The issue is when I walked into the house and they, I don't know anything about this. Nobody says anything to me about it. And I walk in and they're everywhere. they are on display.
Oh, wow.
They are staring at me from every which.
Creepy.
Yeah, very creepy, like a horror movie. Yeah.
You're like, did I tell somebody I was coming here?
Yeah.
Does anybody know where I'm at?
Yeah. I mean, it was strange. I mean, they were any which direction you could think of. And then I get upstairs and the entire loft and
They're
extra
everywhere?
space up. Yeah. Display cases just sitting out on the floor, just every which direction.
Why do rich people have to be so crazy?
It was strange. It was strange. And yeah, so she said, I'll pack it all myself. And I said, okay, are you sure about that? Oh, each one has to go into its original box. So they bring me out to the garage. It was a 3-car garage. It had a double on one side, a single on the other.
Right.
We go over to the single, and the single car garage was just, nothing full. It was just completely full of all of those small boxes.
Like all the original boxes.
Exactly, yeah.
She was like,
So
each one has to go back in its home and packed a certain
And I'm
way.
talking floor to ceiling, each individual box just all the way down. And I'm just multiplying boxes, just going, all right, this is 7 across, this is 5 tall, okay,
Right.
trying to figure it out. But yeah, so that was pretty strange.
Right, that is very strange, and that's a lot of dollars. But yeah, why do crazy people have to get to be rich? That's just crazy. Tell me about your trucks, because now that leads me. Okay, do people want to see the trucks? I mean, do you guys keep them super clean on the inside? Because that's another thing too. It's like I have this vision in my head that you open up the back of a truck. I've opened up the back of a U-Haul before, and I'm like, whoa, what is that smell?
Sure. Right.
So
yeah, we don't use U-Hauls. We have a lot of very proud van operators, is what we call them, professional van operators, and they keep them.
So they're
tidy.
theirs. They belong to the company, but they're assigned to somebody.
Well, no. A lot of our drivers own their own equipment.
Really?
Some own just the tractor. Some own the tractor and their trailer. So we own the trailer and let them pull it. But the equipment inside is theirs, so they take care of it. And they think about things because they have that pride of ownership. Like I'm not going to throw this furniture pad on the ground because that could be on somebody's white sofa tomorrow, or it could be, wrapping something delicate, and if it gets, wood or something or dirt that can scratch, then they make sure that they keep it clean. So it is. You open the back of one of our movers trucks, you're probably going to be pretty impressed with how organized it is, unless they just got done with a delivery.
Yeah, understood. But is that normal for people to own their own thing? Because you just said something that was very. Was key is that when they own it, they take more pride in it and keeping it good. Because I've seen employees treat company equipment like garbage.
Yep.
Well,
and I think that's everybody's got their model of what works, for them, and we have employee drivers too, and I think they take just as much pride, and you have to have the right employees, but when they have to be accountable to themselves, and they are the business owner in that case, so they contract with us exclusively. They're independent. And they actually, basically lease their equipment back to us for use on jobs. So it's their stuff, and they need it to last. They need that truck to make it, 10 years, 15 years. So they take good care of it.
Right. So is there a lot of job okay, so it's employment. So so you have if somebody owns their own truck, but they're exclusive with you guys, so they're not an actual employee. They're like a 1099, like a vendor, right?
Independent contractor. So we call them professional van operators, but they're independent contractors. They sign an independent contractor operating agreement, not only with us but with our van line. So one thing we haven't talked about is, there's different organizational structures for a moving company, but being an interstate mover and having coverage over the entire continental United States, being affiliated with a van line allows us to do a lot of things that we wouldn't otherwise. And so they also have to work hand in hand with Atlas Van Lines, which is our van line.
I've heard of Atlas before.
Yeah, it's a big one. And we've been an agent for other van lines as well. There's other ones out there. But with the independent contractor agreement, they're actually not just living up to their own standards, but ours and our national van lines, which is our national brand.
Well, honestly, that's really fascinating, though, because it's kind of like it's a big company, but you've got a lot of small businesses that are connected to that.
That's it. Working together.
Yeah, and we don't treat them any different. They're part of the family.
Right.
Like I said, it's employee appreciation. They're involved. They're we know them by first names, and they have multiple drivers. They have employees of their own that they're taking care of.
That's
so
really great.
We're feeding them, which helps them feed their folks.
Love it. All right. Well, we're going to go to break. It goes by fast, I know. When we get back, we'll have more BaaD Radio, so stay tuned. Welcome back. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Premier Couples Superstore. There is no better time than now to visit Premier Couples Superstore because they have got a huge selection of lingerie, shoes, toys, games, love oils, and a ton of great gifts. With Premier Couples Superstore, you don't pay those high prices because you're going to go directly to the source. 5009 South OBT or shop online at premiercouples.net. Because a couple that plays together stays together.
Oh, yeah.
That's right on top of the line with the topic we are talking about. So we've been talking with Darren and Dalton, and they're with Sedith, Moving and Storage, and that's a family name. So I don't know why it's so hard. You know, it's really not.
Yeah.
But I wanted to thank you guys for being here. And over the last 30 minutes, you really have changed my entire perception of what moving looks like from what I thought till now. So you were we were talking about how you're going to kind of walk through the process of how that whole procedure works.
Yeah, when it comes to planning for a move, you can never start too early, honestly.
Okay.
And we're happy to consult along the way and work with you, even if it's over the course of months or a year.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's seasonality. You don't want to book a move for June in May. I mean, you're asking for, it's like buying a plane ticket. The closer it gets to the time, the more expensive it's going to be.
Really?
You're not going to get the seat that you want, which means you're not going to get the date that you want. So we really try and help people understand that if it's February, March right now, and you're moving in the summer, you should probably start looking at what your options are. You're going to get a better deal if you buy further out in advance. So, reaching out to us is free, and getting the quote is free. And, and booking the move is obligation free. I mean, you can change dates if you need to. And,
how far to the date do you have to move? Or like if I need to change the date because, you know, my job didn't come through like when I thought it was going to, so I need to push it back 2 months.
Yeah.
Is it like a 30-day thing?
No, you could call a week before. You can call a couple of days before. I mean, things happen. Those things, they come up.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're understanding of that. And we understand there's so many things that are out of your control, especially if you're moving longer distance. It could be dependent on a job,
right.
Sale of a home. I mean, we run into those obstacles, and we work hand in hand with our
Very
customers.
nice.
So, but yeah, I mean, we make it easy. We want to be convenient and easy to do business with, which is why we have all these virtual options.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to our website, it's just suddeth.com, SUDDATH. You can schedule a survey right now to just get your initial consultation out of the way.
So you don't even have to pick up the phone and call anybody?
No, not if you don't want to. If you have questions and you want to get some answers right now, you can call us. I have call center reps that are there ready to answer. We can get you in touch with Dalton or one of our other relocation consultants that can get into the nitty gritty with you if you want to talk numbers.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's very easy and simple to work through the process with us.
Right. So if I were thinking about it, and I would just go to your website, and it like you said, it's SUDDATH.com, right?
Yep.
And then you go into the individual branches, and I can order.
Yep.
I can say, hey, listen, I'm thinking, what month are we in? March. I'm thinking about moving in June.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the date set yet, but I want to start to get an idea of what that cost would look like, and then you put it together. Is that when you would get involved?
Yeah, that's sort of when I would get involved, either me or one of the call center people. But you could go direct schedule something straight onto my calendar, which is pretty neat. Or if you talk to one of the call center reps, they'll figure that out. You know, either they'll have some information for you, which would be what you were looking for, or B, they would say, okay, yeah, you're this far along in the process. Let's get an appointment set up for you to do a survey and look at the pricing.
And how are you divided up into divisions? Like, so you have the Orlando market. How big is your footprint?
Yeah, so it's things have changed since we've gone virtual. So it used to just be strictly I'm in Orlando and that's it.
You had these certain zip codes.
Yeah, exactly. That's really how it used to be. But since virtual's kind of been brought in, our number one goal is just getting to the customer as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that means if I'm busy, you know, one of our reps in Georgia or North Carolina or Texas might pick up an appointment to cover me if I'm busy, and vice versa.
Because
virtually, correct. Yeah.
Customer wants to talk to somebody when it works for them. Sometimes that's off hours. So we have people on the West Coast that can do a 6 p.m. appointment on the East Coast.
Right, because of 3 hours. That
a
makes
fair
sense.
difference, yeah. So as long as it's virtual, you have that flexibility. There's some things that require us to visit the home, and that's where we have reps in the market to handle that. You might not get the exact time that you want, but that's why I say reach out sooner rather than later.
Right. Well, it sounds like you have a very, very intricate network that kind of all works cohesively. So So you're Orlando, but if you is there Dalton down in South Florida or like up in the Panhandle? Is that how that works?
Yeah. So in Florida, we're in Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa, and Fort Lauderdale, and in Miami. And so we have a rep in each one of those markets, and then people that can support it virtually.
Right.
So our other markets are Atlanta, Charlotte, Minneapolis, and then we have 3 in Texas: Dallas, Houston, Austin, and El Paso.
I'm very impressed with your memory to be able to
yeah.
like say it like that.
Yeah.
When I was Froggers, I'm like Mount Dora, Apopka, Oviedo, Altamont Springs.
Well, like I said, I've had the world tour, so that helps. But yeah, I mean,
how long have you been with the company?
Actually 10 years this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is that says a lot about you, but it says a lot about the company too.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, especially because, like I said, if you've been there for 10 years, they got to be doing something right. Yep. And how long have you been? How did you get connected with this company?
I've been in the business for about 6 years. I've been with Sudeth for about 2.5, 3 years total.
Mm-hmm.
So I got connected through the company. Funny story, but my brother-in-law works for Sudeth in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And he is on the logistics side. He used to be a dispatcher. One of the sales regional managers, reached out to him and said, "Hey, I know you're from Orlando, but you live up here in Jacksonville now. Do you know of anybody, in the area?" And he said, "Oh my gosh, I got a perfect person for you." So
But you were in the industry already.
No, that was before
Okay.
I was in the industry. Yeah. So shout out to my brother-in-law, Mitchell Zavigna.
Right.
So,
very nice.
yeah. So he's part of that Next Point team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
that's a division we didn't even talk about. We have a whole
logistics,
home delivery and
Yep.
logistics, Next Point
Logistics,
Logistics.
What does that even mean? I mean, I know what logistics means.
Well, I mean, distribution and fulfillment, contract warehousing, where we have, we will receive and ship out and kit other people's product, other companies. So we have in Texas, for example, Twisted X Boot Company, where all of their product runs through us, and we'll distribute that. And
wow,
we work with Johnson & Johnson, Vistakon for contact lenses and all those things. So
you guys are massive.
we when it comes to
I didn't
moving, there's
realize that at
nothing
all.
we can't do. We do all that, and so that's where we have many warehouses that do different things for these different functions, and we specialize where we need to, but we integrate, and then we work together and collaborate, and so we're able to kind of make anything happen for a customer for whatever need they have.
It sounds like it. Well, like I said, I've learned a whole lot about this today, and we're still okay on time. But I want to go ahead and have you guys give out all of your contact information. And like I said, we're good on time, so we'll have a minute to chat afterwards. So go ahead, Darren. You go ahead and go.
Sure.
first.
Yeah, mine's easy. It's just dcook@sudeth.com for an email, and then. I don't have our phone number memorized actually,
okay.
But the website is the way to go. I think most people handle things that way now anyway, and we've got.
But do you do any direct with consumer in the VP position?
Yeah, no, I mean, I try to let my sales team handle that for the most part and make sure that they get the opportunity. But every once in a while you get someone who needs a favor. We have a Sudeth employee or family member, and if it's easy enough for me to just work with them, it kind of helps me keep my finger on the pulse too. So
to be down there with them.
Yeah.
I bring him in when I need him.
Well, you're the local one, and I was happy to hear that you were local, as in like you grew up in this area. You said you went to Oviedo High School.
I went to Oviedo High School.
Yeah.
I grew up in the area for over 20 years now. So I still live in Oviedo now. My wife and I. So yeah, been in this area for quite some time.
Yeah, your buddies with our friend Zach.
Hey Zach.
Zachary with Impact Electric. Yeah. So go ahead and give all your contact information.
Yeah,
out.
it's going to be Dalton Bond, 407-590-6228. Call me, text me there if you need an estimate for a move. Email is going to be first name Dalton last name Bond @sudeth.com.
And so is that pretty much the way that you would like somebody to reach out to you if they want to?
Yeah,
if they're in
absolutely.
Orlando and they're like, I don't want to go through the whole website and all the things.
Just call me. That's it. Yeah,
right.
Call me, text me. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Go ahead and give that your email and your phone number again.
Yeah, 407-590-6228. And it's going to be Dalton Bond @sudeth.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And a huge thank you to our sponsors. And thank you for tuning in. Everybody have a great week. And remember to support local.